go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Water Cooler Chat, where we talk about all things Livepeer. Whether it's orchestrating, delegating, broadcasting, transcoding, developing, anything to do with Livepeer, we can talk about it here. Today we're going to be doing a regular Water Cooler Chat, where we just do regular introductions and chat about it. So I'll start with myself. I've been running the Titan node orchestrator since April 2021. And my topic today is around kind of the stream sessions, kind of updating the service URI. I think there's been a problem with that because, my streams have been really low up until like this morning. So, would like to talk about that. Great. And we'll move on to Bora. Bora, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Hi, my name is Bora. I'm from Istanbul, Turkey. Actually, I have the same topic with you. I just want to discuss and I just want to understand the basic and the mechanism behind of this selection algorithm also, because this is the second time in a single month we are facing the same issue. How may we have an early warning system or some kind of, because I lost more than 6 days streams. Okay, I was not getting so many streams before also, but so many is always not so many is always bigger than 0 streams. So if we may by somehow find a way to construct an early warning system for this kind of server issues, it will be, I believe, a better addition to the community.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think a lot of us have been feeling a bit stressed lately with the stream selection, or even just the stream selection algorithm, trying to figure that out. But yeah, some sort of detection system. I wonder if that's just like a Broadcastr thing that we would have to rely on, because from my side, everything was working great. So it was really hard to determine where the problem lied. So yeah, we'll definitely get into that. So thank you for joining us, Bora, as always. Ben, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic? Ben, are you with us? I cannot hear you, sir. We'll move on, but Ben, you might have to leave and come back. I'm not sure. Can't hear you. Chase, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Hi everyone, it's Chase with Chase Media here. Been running the orchestrator since just over a year now, and my topic is also in line with the current events this morning with the URI confusion and what the updating process is, and going forward, if we change the URI again, are we going to run into the same issues? So it'd be interesting to discuss more on that. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us, Chase. Flo, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
So, hello everyone, I'm Flo from Mouse Computing. I'm an orchestrator since 5 months now. And I have one question about if someone know if it's possible to have like a wave on a transcoder. I mean, I want to put more job from orchestrator to my transcoder. And I don't know if it's possible to put like waves on the transcoder.
When you say, you mean add capacity to an orchestrator?
I mean, I would like to give more transcoding job to a specific transcoder instead of all of them.
Right. So you have remote T's connected to an O, and
yes.
you want to delegate. Yes, there is a way of doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, it will definitely. Here, let me write that down here. It's called remote T priority.
Oh, okay. I didn't saw this option.
Great. Yeah, I will. I'll after we finish the introduction here, I'll send you the link.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much.
Find that information. Yeah, I haven't played around with it much, but you can just adjust it through your client.
Okay.
You do a curl command, and you can connect to it. So There you go. Yeah, anyway, thank you for joining us, Flo, as always. Papa Bear, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Yeah, I am Papa Bear, running solar farm for about a year and a half now, and I'm just kind of hanging out today. So, yeah, that's it.
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us. Ben, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Depends if you guys can hear me.
You sound great now, yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Yeah, Ben with Authority now. I've been running for also just about a year and a half, maybe a little less. And I'm interested on the topic with streams being a little weird and some people not getting them at all. I think Video Miner might be seeing some of the same problems, but it's a bit hard to tell with the amount of stake we have. But it definitely seems weird, just the stream distribution in general lately. And also on the topic of setting priority to different transcoders, I thought that was only in like Brad's version. I didn't know you could do that on the default version, so that's pretty cool.
I believe it got merged.
Oh,
I
oh,
believe,
sweet.
I believe it did, but I could be wrong. So hopefully Brad will show up and tell us. But either way, because he told me I can do it with my T's right now. And I was like, yeah, well, because I'm just running the distribution from Livepeer from the GitHub, so we'll have to look into that. But yeah, it might be his repo, so yeah, we'll have to double check on that. So there you go. Cool. Thank you so much for joining Authority, as always. Let's see, Nadir, would you like to introduce yourself and if you have any topics or questions you'd like to answer? Questions you have? I think you're saying my device has some troubles. Would you like to try and introduce yourself? We cannot hear you if you are speaking. Sometimes you have to leave and come back. No worries. There we go. See if we can get him in here. Oh, and just to FYI, Ben, I see that you are streaming on Xenon, your dashboard now. And I thought, that's actually a good idea.
Oh yeah, I figured I'd send them some streams. I don't know where they're going, whose node's getting them, but yeah, I thought, what was the laziest thing I can do and still stream on Xenon? Well, that works.
There you go. Yeah, it's actually not a bad idea. Great. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started going through some of these topics. So, I also am going to bring up another topic, which was my Broadcastr stream that happened on Thursday, and just some feedback on that for the people that did watch it, or at least chimed in for a little bit. So that was pretty fun. But yeah, let's first jump into this priority T. Flo brought up this point, which I think is actually a really good point. Flo, do you want to explain to us what you're trying to do and maybe why you're trying to do it while I try and look up the link?
Well, I'll try to put some network wave on job transcoding from the orchestrator to give more transcoding job to specific transcoder. Like this, I can have a transcoder more powerful than the other, or who have a better latency, and to have like a backup situation on a orchestrator.
Yeah, it gives us a lot more control over it, that's for sure. Let me see.
Yeah, I definitely know it was something you could do in Brad's version. That you could definitely build on it, because at the moment, unless you change something, you can set priority, but as soon as you restart a T, or it might be restarting the O or both, it completely resets and you have to, push the call command through every time. I'm sure there's a way to automate that. I just haven't figured it out. But if
On
that
the
is
T,
something
you mean?
regarding what exactly?
You mean you need to push the this I think it's like arguments on launching.
Yeah, it's just a curl command for the T to set priority.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's not the orchestrator who give priority.
it's a good question. I don't remember, to be honest.
Okay.
Let me see
Yeah.
if I
I
can.
think it would have to be on the orchestrator because, I mean, the orchestrator decides what goes where, so I can't imagine the T would have that.
Yeah.
I know that in the curl command you have to specify. I believe it's been a while, but you have to specify both the transcoder to set the priority and the orchestrator.
That makes sense, but I would think the orchestrator has to be aware of it because otherwise,
Yeah,
how does it know
but
where to send it?
so what that is going to mean then is anytime the transcoder or orchestrator is restarted, it's going to reset. And again, I'm sure there's ways to change that and make scripts and automation and all kinds of fun stuff. I just don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I would love to see that actually built in and have a clean way to do that through Livepeer because
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the curl command. I like to not really touch my servers unless I have to. If it was like a flag you could set, that would be sweet. You know, priority 1,
Yeah.
priority 2, that would be perfect.
I put in a
Because-
request for that a year or so ago, and I guess what we got was what Brad did, which is better than nothing, but was still
I mean, it
more,
can't be.
more than I wanted.
Can't be. You know, he's already done a lot of the work. I'm sure there's a way to just make that a flag.
Yeah, a flag would be really nice because I mean I've got GPUs with differing capabilities. I'd like to be able
Right.
to send prioritize like, oh, you know what, unless this one's full.
And then,
keep
you know,
sending it to this
the
one.
end game there would be to be able to prioritize VOD work and different formats to different GPUs, and you know, this would
Yes.
be a nice way to start.
Definitely. I should try and find my thing because I think I requested all that stuff, but it's been a while, and I don't think Brad's thing existed at the time. So I'll see
Yeah,
if I
I
can
have
find
to
my.
look at where. It's going to take me more time to figure out where I put this. Because it's somewhere. I just don't know where. Transcode MaxFest.
I'm doing some few experimental stuff on my Kubernetes cluster. I have already like something about auto scaling, horizontal auto scaling, when I can spin up a container with a GPU to if I need more power.
That's awesome. I've been kind of looking at Kubernetes. I only just learned Docker like a few months ago, and I know Mike Zuper just is in the middle of setting up a full production environment for Kubernetes and Livepeer as well, and it just sounds badass.
Yeah,
It sounds so cool. I
you
don't
can
know
do
if it's
crazy
like,
stuff.
is it high maintenance on Kubernetes? Do you have to like watch it a lot, or if you set it up right, is it sort of just doing its own thing?
Now, if you are doing correctly your manifest file, like the Docker Compose, it's the same
Right.
on the Kubernetes. There is a lot more stuff to do, but you have more flexibility. Like you have so many options. You have access to the full API of the cluster, and you can do really crazy stuff.
That sounds awesome. And from what I've been told, you can also get like a completely free management UI, which a lot of the ones for Docker are not free.
Yeah, I put everything on my all my transcoder and my orchestrator have direct connection between them on a service mesh network. They are not passing through internet, so they are seeing like a local network.
They're not local. They're just acting like they're local.
Yes,
That's
they are all
mind-blowing.
connected through a WireGuard VPN, and all the cluster have a service mesh on top of it, and I can connect directly a transcoder and all orchestrator between them.
Do you see a latency hit if you're
No,
No.
zero latency, because
my
WireGuard
God.
is like one of the best VPN. You have
That's the one you can run locally,
native-
right?
I have all the nodes are directly connected, like full decentralized, and they have the native speed. And for the service mesh, I'm using Cilium. It's something native on Linux. It's eBPF. And like this, I can put some firewall configuration to give access only one transcoder to a specific orchestrator.
Geez, that's next level.
Yeah,
Goddamn.
I'm doing some.
But definitely, whatever you want to share, definitely share it as you keep messing with stuff, because I'd definitely be interested to hear more.
Yeah,
It's cool.
of course, I can help if you want to try some stuff on that.
John is here. John, do you know where the I guess it would be like the pull request or the stuff that Brad did for setting priority to individual transcoders for an orchestrator? You update it with a curl?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll have to dig around, but it's just in his branch. I don't know the exact commit though, but I can find the branch because that's the one that had the dynamic session limit, I think.
Oh yeah, because he added the dynamic session limit as well.
Yeah, and
That's
I
a
have
good
link to
pull.
that.
I can't wait for him to pull that one.
Yeah, I was gonna integrate it into a separate PR myself, but been busy on some other things.
What would what kind of workload would go into making that a flag that you can just set in the config file, Elite?
Which one? Which
Instead
flag?
of like having to push a curl to set priority, like just have a flag that's like, priority 1 for one transcoder, priority 2 for another.
Oh yeah. I
But
think that.
How do you
pretty
predetermine which transcoders are connected?
What do you mean?
Well, like if you set it as a flag, how do you determine what transcoders will connect? Like what happens? Like, how do you identify the transcoder?
I'm not sure I'm following.
think-
I mean, you would connect the transcoder and it would just look at the priority. If there's no other transcoders connected, it's just going to prioritize the one that is.
What I guess what are you prioritizing?
You're telling it to take streams before the other transcoder.
So you just want the first one to fill up first, kind of thing?
I mean, that's what it does with the curl command.
Yeah, because
yeah.
Does it?
Is this?
I thought the curl
functionality
command
correct?
just sets like different levels of priorities, so it'll get more like 60% of streams instead of 50% of streams, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would figure the flag would be the same thing. It would just be more of a permanent solution instead of having to constantly be setting it.
Do you think we would set this on the transcoder side, maybe?
I think it would have to be set on both sides. I posted a link to originally I requested that we get that on a just a GPU basis, but I think it could be set up for to be transcoder based. I put it in the chat, the original request that I made, and there's some comments by a couple of guys from the Livepeer team about how it would work. And yeah, I mean, they were talking about that you would do like a sorry, let me just scan this here.
It seems to me you'd have to set it from the transcoder side. So when the transcoder connects with their secret, it also tells the orchestrator what priority it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it could just say like, basically like, I mean, because it's yours, you could say like this, like give it a name, like I'm transcoder 1, I'm transcoder 2, I'm transcoder 3. And then you can set and then the way I did it, the way I was requesting was just do a flag, basically saying like, I was doing it as GPUs, but like, GPU 1 or GPU, 1 is priority. And then you set like a max, max sessions per one, and then you specify the preference of which order you want them to go in. So you'd say like transcoder 0 has a a max of 18, and then it just goes priority, and then once that one's full of 18, it goes down to the next one.
But what if a transcoder disconnects and it reconnects as like transcoder 4 now?
That's what I'm saying. You'd set that as a flag on the transcoder.
On the transcoder. Okay, we're setting the flag as on the transcoder, not the orchestrator.
Well, they both have to have some sort of flag, because one would have like I think that the orchestrator would have the logic, and the transcoder would have to have a name attached to it, or some kind of identifying, basically an identifier, so you know which, how to address it.
I think they're pretty well referenced today with the objects. Just like when we have the remote, when we fix the remove remote transcoder.
Yeah, that's a good point, and they
it's
actually do mention that.
object-based.
Yeah.
To be able to pass that priority as part of that object.
I don't think you would have to do anything from the orchestrator side. Can you not manage priorities just by setting flags on the transcoder side?
The orchestrator is deciding which transcoder to send the work to, and it currently just load balances based off which one has less number of sessions.
Right.
Yeah, the orchestrator acts as a load balancer or reverse proxy, so is sending the transcoder.
You can do this right now with Amazon Route 53 if you wanted a quick fix. You can do load balancing and then just run each instance of your T as an O/T.
Oh yes, like that. Yeah.
I've done that in the past, but obviously, yeah, then each T has to be accessible to the public network and like all these kind of things. Depends on what you're trying to achieve, I guess.
Oh, Brad's in here. Brad can probably, or I know Brad can comment on this better than any of us can right now.
All right, Brad, I'll bring you up to steam. We're talking about the priority of T's on the orchestrator. Tell us what you've built so far, and because a lot of us are like demanding that you finish it. No. I mean, we're all inquiring.
It's finished. I just haven't put it up to the main, like the Livepeer. I haven't done a pull request on it.
Can you tell us how it works and what your thought process of building it was?
So the default way it works is it just equal load is what I call it. So it distributes it evenly between all the transcoders that are connected to the orchestrator. What I built was two other ways to allocate work. One is based on an arbitrary priority, and the other one is time to transcode. I tend to use the priority one because I want my local transcoder that is on the orchestrator, same machine, to also get the work first. Another thing to note on what I built is it's more of a waterfall, so it does everything to the first one until it hits the capacity, and then it goes over to the other T's. Why I built it was basically what I said, because I wanted to connect some transcoders that were farther away from the orchestrator as backups. And so if I took down the transcoder on my orchestrator that's on the same machine, it wouldn't lose work, or it'd still have a way to transcode, albeit a little bit slower.
And we were talking about what would go into making those flags so that it would be a little bit more permanent and didn't reset every time you restarted the T or the O. Is that something that's fairly simple to do? Can you get the same behavior?
It's probably not too hard. I think when I initially made it was I wasn't sure how the flags worked, but since then I've had to spend time going through how the flags work with that price per broadcaster upgrade that we did. I'm sure I could. It's just a matter of finding time.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't asking you to do it. I'm just curious if it's even feasible.
Yeah, because so the transcoder sort method, it really is just a you set it sets as a number on the orchestrator node. So 0 is equal load, so the default way. 1 is time to transcode, which it tracks the round trip time to each transcoder, and then the second one and the last one, priority, is number 2. So in theory, should be able to specify 0 to 2 in a flag.
So what would the time to transcode, because that one seems like a pretty good bet. How would that work as a flag? Would you just set it on the O and then
it picks automatically? So you set it on the O to use time to transcode, and then it tracks the round trip time. like
Does
real
it
time.
treat
It just logs it.
everything as the same, like it's the same type of work, or does it know that like, oh,
Yes.
this is a, so okay, so it's
I mean, you
so
could,
like,
in
I mean, with
theory, make it
VOD,
smarter based on capabilities, but
right,
there's no way to determine any other way within Livepeer at the time what
right.
other kind of work it is. I mean, I suppose it's possible, but
Yeah, and I mean, for me personally, I would love to just have the option to have just priority based on just yeah. I wanted to go to this one first, and then I can do it the dumb way. But so
yeah, I
how do
like
you
the
do it
brute
now?
force
Do you
way
just,
mostly. Do what I
yeah,
say.
and right now to use it, you send a curl command to the
Yeah.
to the orchestrator, and you have to be
Yep.
running your build to use it, correct?
You just yes, you could you could fork Go Livepeer yourself and just bring in the commit itself, and then only have that, and so you could run your own as well. But yeah, the easiest way is just run mine in general. You just wanted to pull it down and build it.
Got it.
Yeah, I think when I was working on this session, so I tried to pull the session limit dynamic code in, and I started running into code related to that that priority, transcoder priority. So it's kind of difficult to untangle those two. Maybe it'll be best just pull them together, do a separate pull requests together or something. It had just been refactored so much, I think.
Yeah, I think I combined them because I always want those abilities, so I just put them into one. Should be able to split them. That would be easier.
Would it be worth putting a flag on the transcoder side that would like send through a priority like number, and then it would send more work prioritizing to this number?
That could be possible, but when I made this, I was thinking that the orchestrator would want the control. So in your instance, Titan, you could set somebody's priority to so low that they'll never get work from you.
Yeah, and like in my pool, if I didn't want to give someone work, I would create a whole custom like curl setup where I'd be like manually doing it and checking and stuff. Or not manually, I'd build something else on top of that. But what about a selection process that says it's based on capacity, where it says, this person has 40 capable streams and this person has 20, and so therefore this person's going to get twice as many streams as the other person that has half. Would that be possible?
I think so, assuming you can trust the transcoders and what they tell you their capacity is.
So that'd be just like a weighted rule, basically.
Yeah. So, you could add that as rule number 3, like you were saying, Brad, how you got 0, 1, and 2 already. Like a third one is weighted based on capacity. Capacity weighted.
Or you could also look at other metrics as well instead of just round trip time. And, when a transcoder starts struggling, if they have 4 or 5 streams, you can start prioritizing other transcoders.
That's kind of what the time to transcode does, because if it starts slowing down.
Oh, okay, so it's actually looking at that like
Yeah,
continuously.
It would pick based on the last submitted segment, I believe. It's been a while since I looked at it.
So it kind of naturally load balances then.
Yeah, but the only downside to that one is I have seen just, a bad stream comes through and just tanks the transcoder for whatever reason. Then it gets a bad value. It doesn't reset. You have to kind of disconnect it and reconnect it. But I don't know if everybody sees that. I think Fort Koonsman has used it for a while and he said it works fine. So maybe he doesn't have that problem like I do.
Well, with VOD, I think that would become more of an issue. And you'll get one heavy stream and it will kind of screw you over.
Yep. And that is a caveat. This was not built when VOD was even an idea.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, anyone see those VODs come in that are 12 seconds long?
Yeah, I saw one. I don't know what happened with it, but yeah, I saw one.
Are those the 1080p 360p streams?
Yeah.
I think those are all Livepeer tests. Because I get them very frequently. They're almost as frequent as we used to get the low bitrate streams. And they're always like the same length.
Yeah, I get a ton of those. I mean, tons of those things.
But are you guys under 900 weight per pixel?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not.
I mean, I am.
And I don't get those.
Well,
But Chase does, and
Yeah.
so she's under. So I don't get those
That makes
test
sense.
streams, if you will, but I still get test streams.
There
You know?
it could be it's a VOD test stream, I'm guessing, or something to do with the testing VOD capabilities. Or I mean, I don't know. I'm only guessing.
Yeah, I mean,
what
it makes sense. It only started happening when VOD got
Yeah,
released.
VOD
and
testing.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, you could see it in the manifest ID.
There you go.
Yeah.
I see tons of those from actually, but so that's interesting because you, Titan, said that you're getting a lot of work from Sao Paulo, and I think I feel like I get a lot of those from there, but I assumed that they were the VOD stuff, but if your pricing is over VOD pricing, then kind of throws my theory out
Well,
the window.
things changed about 5 hours ago when they reset the broadcasters, because now my streams are looking normal again. Like LA, Frankfurt, Toronto, like these, like the normal area. Like I went like a month and a half where I only got Singapore and Sao Paulo, and they were like nuts, like peaking 30 streams. And now I'm back down to North America, Europe has all the streams, Singapore is dead, and Sao Paulo is choppy, but I get up to about 4 streams.
Yeah, it sounds like something was really messed up on there. And
Like I much prefer this one because I think these are actually real streams coming in now. Like Singapore and Sao Paulo didn't look good. They looked like VOD, but I didn't have VOD pricing. So that was a concern. So yeah, it's good that they changed it.
Going on.
Yeah, it's good that they reset it because from my side things look better. Vires mentioned that his streams are a bit choppy now. So
that explains the dip we had earlier today. It's kind of reset and came right back.
yeah, I noticed I had a bit of a weird couple hours in the morning.
yeah, there was a big reset in the morning.
I think they're getting to be more proactive about it. I know a couple weeks ago we had a couple of days where things lagged. That might have been related to a bug, though, I think. But yeah, it's good that they get those fixed quickly.
There you go. Well, yeah, it's interesting. So what is I just want to cover off the topic of the remote T priority flow. Does what Brad mentioned, would that satisfy your taste for what you're trying to achieve, right? Like a priority, and then like 3 different default selections that the broadcast or the orchestrator could set?
Yeah, I will check that. I will try what you said.
I'm pretty excited for the automatic max, the dynamic max session limit on the orchestrator. That will be very helpful for me. Because right now all my O's are just set arbitrarily to 2000.
That's
so
good.
They just accept all streams until the transcoders can't handle it, and then I start. I don't actually know what happens. Like where does it fail? Like I know.
It just starts returning slow, I think, and the broadcaster moves on.
Yeah, which I would rather reject. Yeah, like if your orchestrator accepts too much work, but your transcoders don't have enough capacity for it, does the orchestrator even send back orchestrator capped? I don't think it does. I think it
does. No transcoders available, maybe. Not sure.
But it doesn't send that back to the broadcaster, does it?
I would think that it would when it hits capacity there, but I don't know. I've only seen it happen once when there were some tests going on, and I was also happened to be testing.
Either way, I think having a orchestrator capped message go back to a broadcaster is more correct.
Yes.
And they probably have ways of dealing with that properly, because they could say, oh, it's capped. oh, I know exactly what that means. I can move on, right? So having that dynamically built in would be really nice. So that's already built, you said, Brad, hey?
Yeah, it was. You've been testing it. It was 2 lines of code. It was kind of wild if it works. If
Yeah,
that's
so when I
it.
pulled those, I have that commit. When I pulled those two in, it was missing a property on one of the objects, and then I started to add that, and it went down with I had to go down a long trail with them many changes and started pulling in more than I needed to. But I'll take a look at it. I could do it this evening.
Did it fail when it was make? Is that where it failed?
No, it was actually the linting was showing that like that
Oh.
that property didn't exist, and it was related to
Sick.
another customization, I think.
Oh, it probably was. I think it worked on. It makes fine.
Well, I know how to make,
try it,
so
see if it works. Yeah, we've crossed that bridge.
yeah, we've crossed that bridge. I know how to. I'm a making master over here. I've been making routers, and although I'm still not I didn't realize I wasn't actually testing out your initial commit. I was like fetching the commit but not pulling it, so I was just remaking the exact same commit every time. So yeah, so thank you for the update and the information. So now I'm running your latest router, and it seems to be working very well so far.
Good.
It has perfect, let's see, it has perfect test streams except for Sao Paulo for some reason. Oh, that's not good. And Frankfurt. Well, I think it's still a work in progress. It's still getting no orchestrator count 13. Frankfurt came back not real time, but I think that was like just the transcoder it hit. Which is fine because I'm in a pool setting. But yeah, just recently a Sao Paulo came back. I'll throw it in the chat there for anyone who wants to look.
6 seconds round trip.
Yeah, well, it only did 4 segments, so that's very typical of it not getting returned at all.
Yep.
And as a comparison, I will link I'll link Titan nodes, so this is exactly what it's using. So they should be somewhat identical. If I can get these looking identical, then I would say we have a working router. But they don't look identical just yet. So, but they're getting there. I mean, that's pretty good. Like, not sure if that's just an
They're
anomaly.
relatively close. That Sao Paulo one looks like the outlier.
Yeah.
Just real quick.
Because the Frankfurt one, like, yeah, it could have, like, I'm only, like, on one around about an hour later or an hour later on Titan Node, it got 1.13, and this was 1.12 or 2.16. So, like, Frankfurt, oh, interesting, huh? Right?
What are we looking at here? What are the two differences here? I mean, this is the same machine, 2 different tests. So I'm confused.
Yeah, so they're all going to Titan Node Pool, but there's 2 orchestrators, so they get 2 different sets of test streams. One is using Route 53, one is using the Livepeer router. So obviously Route 53 has a perfect score. Every segment has been returned, all within real time. So that's the pool. Route 53, or the router, for some reason, there's just this Sao Paulo and this Frankfurt one. I have a feeling that Frankfurt is also returning London, so it's getting a worse score for some reason. That could be like a London problem. Like there's a chance that it can't ping, like, maybe it's one of those 0 MS, 0 millisecond problem, and then it's returning the wrong node.
Those are the ones that block the ICMP packets.
Yeah,
so
so
I can't ping it right now.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if, I don't know. I don't know which of them is blocking it though. So, but yeah, the Sao Paulo one, that's the only concerning one. I don't know why that happened. Otherwise, they all look really
Sorry.
good.
So are both orchestrators are pointing to your pool transcoders? Is that
Yes.
how this is working?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, both of these have this service URI heading towards Titan Node Pool, and then one is Titan Node Prod, and the other one's Livepeer Academy, and the Academy has got the router on it.
Got it.
So it's like it looks pretty good, except for just Sao Paulo error. Lost segment.
I'm hoping to use that soon. I want to use it in the case of having like one hosted node. I wouldn't call it an O because I'm hoping to be able to run the router without an O with the flag, and then be able to like use that as a way to basically load balance between orchestrators and say, start moving all the traffic to this other O. Might go into the whole development of the like management UI that you're talking about, or some way to maintain the cache. But that's what I'd like to use it for, mostly like maintenance,
Yeah, the routers would be really good for that because you could route all the streams to a different orchestrator while you take one down. And then you could, the router is a really good endpoint because all you're doing is directing traffic. So you could send it to different O's, or you could, do anything you want really with the traffic.
Yeah, I have one other. We have two servers with different IPs on the same location. Doesn't provide as much value, but we can at least test with that. And then my other node is a different location, but the internet connection's not as good, so I don't even really want to use it. So maybe I'll set up the other box. I'm gonna move some services off of it and try to load balance. Just got to build some test cases,
Yeah. Well, luckily, the only nice thing is, I have 7 nodes, so it's been really good to test with and finding lots of issues. But we're really close. I would say the only major thing is we have to be able to test some sort of performance if they're blocking ICMP pings. Which could be maybe like doing that. Can we test performance based on port pinging? Did we try port pinging? Have we looked into that?
You can have latency with that, but not as much.
Because you could port ping RMTP 1935, and we know that that's open on every broadcaster.
Right. Yeah, I think that was an option in that library that we're using already. I'd have to double check and see.
Then we'd have to figure out if that's better off just being the default anyway.
Yeah, it probably would be. I mean, it might generate some little log error on the broadcaster or something. That's something to look out for. It's not like a valid request, but as long as it comes back with some response, it should work. I think it's called Echo. I keep calling it Echo Ping. I think it was a separate program, but the Ping library with Golang, I think, has the option to select a port.
Oh, really?
I think that's what I saw.
There you go. That would, once we fix that problem, then I think we've got a really good working solution, because so far it looks like it's working 90% of the time. I just don't know what's causing this anomaly. Let me check some logs.
I'll drop
Otherwise,
a link in the water cooler. This is interesting for found a little snippet for testing TCP ports with Golang.
cool. I want to bring up okay, so we can still talk about all that. I do want to talk about the Broadcastr trivia I did on Thursday. I think Authority Null and Papa Bear. John mentioned you were there a little bit. Franck was definitely there. Yeah, is there any feedback based on that that app that we showcased here? Broadcastr was built by Pablo. I used it on Thursday to do a trivia giveaway, and we had about average of I think 14 viewers, max around 20 viewers, and lasted about 4 hours. It was pretty fun. Yeah, any feedback on that from anyone?
Thought it
else?
was great. You should do that more often. It was awesome.
I mean, it seemed to work pretty
Agreed.
well. I didn't see any issues with it or any problems with it. I mean, as far as technically speaking. And it lasted for 4 hours, no problem. I mean, I assume I didn't make it all the way to the end, but seemed to be working pretty solidly.
Yeah, I'm streaming through it right now. Actually, this is for anyone that don't know what we're talking about. Let me pull it up. Boom, here. Put it in the chat. This is the NFT that I'm streaming through currently. Yeah, so it's NFT streaming. Who knew? Yeah, the feedback was basically like, yeah, it's not really mobile friendly, but like that's not to be. It's like pretty obvious because, yeah, just wasn't. It's like built in an NFT platform that's not really meant for streaming, so of course, user experience is not going to be perfect. Everyone said that the stream quality was good. Everyone said the stream quality. Yeah, there was not much, no lagging. There was no downtime from my side. Like I didn't get any errors. It didn't fall off. It didn't. Yeah, it seemed to work quite well. So I'm pretty happy with the performance of Livepeer on the back end for doing it. So that was really exciting to see that we were able to use it. A lot of people thought that live streaming through NFTs was really novel. Like they they were blown away that it could even happen. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
You know, now that I think about it, the lag seemed to be very minimal especially for Livepeer. Like, you know, because you were typing stuff into the chat, like for the questions to make it so that everyone had a fair shot at it. It didn't seem to be much delay from when you would post something to be seeing the
It was like
reaction.
15, 20 seconds.
Oh, was it that long? It didn't seem that long
Some
to me.
people were 7 seconds.
That's why that bastard Daniel, whatever his name was so quick.
Well, no, because I typed it in chat, so it was fair.
Oh, well, how did he do
Well,
that?
I mean, I don't know if there was
understand.
delay in chat then too, maybe, because it seemed pretty quick to me. I mean, I didn't time it, but
No, chat was pretty quick. The only he literally was like, I have an ergonomic keyboard. Like he's like, I'm like, and
I have an ergonomic keyboard.
So he's like, first of all, make sure you paste your address first, and then you go to the beginning and you get your ergonomic keyboard ready. And he's like, I just type it and guess. And he was wrong a few times. Like he was definitely wrong a bunch of times. So like he wasn't like cheating, but he didn't win every time. He literally was just typing things really fast. Because he came back on his Android phone and then was basically getting last place every time. So, yeah, it was a pretty fun. One of the viewers actually is now doing the exact same thing I just did. Last night they did a trivia giveaway on Rarible. So it was kind of fun. And they were using the Matic I gave them that they won from my
That's
trivia.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, so kind of a bit of a spark to trend, I think.
So what ends up happening with that? Is that an NFT now? Is that like exists as an NFT? I didn't really understand the whole how it ties into with an NFT. Other than that, I could watch it on OpenSea.
So yeah, like I don't actually know all the functions of what they've built because they're like, how many mints did you get? And I'm like, what do you mean mints? And they're like, well, they can mint, and I'm like, oh, I didn't set that up. I don't know how that works. They're like, oh, okay, like how many subscribers did you get? And I'm like, people could subscribe. Like I don't.
These are great questions. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I didn't get. I was like,
I'm like,
because I didn't see what the benefit was over just normal live streaming, but now
Didn't we see this happen a long time ago? Like when I first started, they did some promotion on Glass.io or something, and that's like what the whole platform is built around, is minting video NFTs.
Yeah.
And
I remember that. Yeah, I don't remember exactly. I mean, yeah, I definitely remember that. I don't know whatever happened to it.
it's
still
still
exists.
going. I mean, 1KX invested a shit ton into it apparently.
Well, they actually were on Solana, I think, and now they're bridging over to ETH
Mm.
because they're like, oh, Solana's dead, something like that. I
Oh
don't know.
dear.
Should probably not bash Solana people unless there's some in here, but I think that's like a trend, is people are like leaving Solana. So is Glass. Yeah. So
Well, then you need to do another one that with all the functionality explained to us, so we can try out some of the other stuff. Because for me, I was like, it's a live stream with chat built into it. The way I was viewing it.
well, the key was it was live stream that anyone can watch on any platform that has the OpenSea standard. So the idea is, because the OpenSea standard has allows, I think, 7 content types. So that's what everyone adopted for NFTs. So
Okay.
when you open up your MetaMask wallet that displays your NFTs, it by default supports the OpenSea standard, and so therefore you'll actually see a live stream in your like wallet. Like when you go to look at your NFTs, like one will just be a live stream, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? That's the idea behind it, is that. And like Lens Protocol, they copied the OpenSea standard, so every Lens platform will have embedded. So the idea is, yeah, this is going to be embedded everywhere. But the problem is mobile devices can't render iframe or JavaScript in apps, so it doesn't display in phones. So it's not mobile friendly. So you can publish it everywhere, but only desktops can essentially watch it, or if you're on your browser on your phone. So there's still some issues with that. And then obviously the whole functionality behind the whole NFT thing, I like didn't even do. So I like, it's like, how much do you want to charge for your stream? I just said free because I didn't want to charge, but I think I was supposed to charge the amount that I wanted to mint, and then people can mint copies or something like this. I don't know. I can also
So, I mean, like,
sell.
do you think like you could have minted that whole 4-hour thing and made that like that you would have owned a copy of it? Or was that just sections of it?
I don't know. I have to ask Pablo and Chris what I'm supposed to do.
Well, you could probably do both, right? You could set up like a clipping system where you could make clips, and then you could mint the whole thing if you wanted to.
Yeah. There's still, I mean,
you need to look into that, Titan, because I want to see that. I want to see that part of it. Because for me, I was like, all right, I'm watching a live stream. I mean, I don't really care where it's hosted, but I mean, I get that it's nice that it can be hosted on anywhere that supports the OpenSea standard. But from I would just like to see some of the other functionality of it. I think would be kind of cool.
I'm not certain that this is actually fully thought out. Like, I think they're literally building it as they're like, because they're like, Titan, we want feedback, and I'm like, okay, like, I'll tell you what my feedback is, but I still don't know what I did. Like, I did a giveaway. Okay, cool. Yeah, it was a live stream. Yeah, like, okay, cool. But like, I don't know how to monetize it. Like, I was like, what do I do? Do I sell this as an NFT afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, and I'm be curious to know, where's that functionality built? Like, where would that be? Is it an overlay on the screen, or do you go to OpenSea and click something? Or
what they wanted to do originally was they wanted to build in an app thing where you would there would be like a banner or a string somewhere on your screen that would show a message, and you could bid on a message that you wanted to post on their live stream, and it would cost crypto, and you would have to outbid the next person to get your words on that person's live stream, and that would pay.
That's pretty cool.
So what it is as you're watching, there's like a little note in the bottom left, or it goes like across the bottom, I think, and it's like, Papa Bear thinks you're cool, and then like, you go to this website where you have to pay with Matic. And so Papa Bear bid $1, and that's what's on the screen currently. And then Ben Authority Null comes in and is like, well, screw you, Papa Bear. I want to put my message on his stream. So he bids 2 Matic, and he puts Authority Null is so cool. And then that's what gets posted on the screen, right? And people bid up what they want to share on the screen. And the streamer gets paid in that way. So but that functionality hasn't been built yet. So yeah, that was.
Man, it almost seems over-engineered, and might as well just do like a bit system like Twitch, and it just costs an X amount to post a message that lasts, a few seconds or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, like it's there's lots of different ways to do it, I guess. Because I was gonna get way more complicated. I told him, I was like, dude, like, I'll let advertisers do splash advertising over your entire screen. So you, as a just broadcaster, as a streamer, you could accept people's ads, and then it would like do a full screen ad on top of you, and it would be verified by Livepeer because of the fast verification or the full verification module, and you could say, well, this. You cryptographically actually paid for this, and it cryptographically like came back as yes, it got delivered that way. So advertisers know they're not getting screwed. They're not sending, not paying for ads and then they're not getting displayed. But Livepeer could actually verify that it's happening. And then Pablo's like, yeah, dealing with encoders is like really difficult. We're just starting with strings because it's like, you don't need to verify pixels. And I was like, oh yeah, you should probably start with the easy one. So that was...
Yeah. Does the NVIDIA drivers or encoders currently support that type of like filling in ads and stuff, or is that reserved for some other technologies?
I think you would have to build it. It would have to be a Broadcastr implementation where you would... like, I was thinking for the full splash page like ad, you would just send you would just stop sending live segments and send like a VOD segment that's pre-made or that they've uploaded, and so it get
commercial.
Yeah, so it would just their uploaded VOD would get inserted into 8 seconds of live stream, and it would be verified by the broadcaster, and then it would go back to live. And the, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's very reasonable. That's much easier to build.
But that was easier. And then it was like, well, what if you wanted to like turn every Coca-Cola can into an Authority Null can, Like,
right, that's a bit more.
Yes.
So
do it.
What? How does that look? Now you're dealing with decoded video. So, yeah. Anyway, I brought this all up to Pablo, and he was like, dude, like, we're just trying to figure out how to post. Like, and I was like, right. Yeah. We're, like, getting down a rabbit hole. So, I don't even know how to use the functions they built in with his, like, so. Because I think it's a token-gated system. I'm not a fan of token gating. Like, I don't see... People always want to token gate, but like I'm like, no, you want everyone to be able to watch. Token gating makes it exclusive. Like live streamers don't want people to not watch. The only things you want to token gate are like chat, like image or your icon or something that makes you more noticeable to the streamer. But like my viewer count, I don't want to token gate my viewer count. I want as many viewers as I can. So
Yeah,
I think it
agree with
depends on
that.
the use case. I think it depends on the use case, but I definitely see what you're saying.
Yes, it does depend on the use case. Yeah. Like on Xenon, I'm just going to stream for free because I want to get viewers. So,
yeah.
But if you're like broadcasting a concert or something and you want to charge for it, then you want to do token gating, I would think.
Yeah, I have a friend who's a DJ and he does concerts. He used to do a lot in person, and now he's mostly like on Twitch doing stuff. I told him to go check out Xenon. You can charge per cent like 1 cent per minute, I think. That's a really great way to, if you really communicate it well and you get people in there, it's a great way to make a monetized stream.
Yeah. So I clearly haven't figured this out yet. So, but anyway, was the stream from a Livepeer's perspective, disregarding app development and UI UX for a second, we can all agree that Livepeer did its job and people were really happy with the quality. Is that what we can agree on?
Yeah, I think compared to like a year ago when we were all complaining about Livepeer streams buffering and having all kinds of issues, this is a massive step in the right direction.
Yeah, for the hour plus I was there, I didn't see any buffering, no freezing, nothing.
Yeah, it was all smooth for me.
Cool.
And then just on that, I'm not sure if you guys see in the orchestrating chat, but Tom said that their focus in April is going to be on O stability and observability. So that's pretty cool. And anything that has to do with O stability makes me happy.
Define observability.
I don't know what that
I
means.
was wondering too. Doesn't matter, it's coming.
I mean, I'm not sure what observability refers to. Better logging? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe monitoring and public availability of that.
It'd be interesting to see what they like if some of their broadcaster metrics were available. Like
Yeah, that would
from
be
the O
awesome.
side, so like we could see what we're actually
Right.
doing or providing back in a metric form at least.
Yeah, be able to know how stable broadcasting nodes are on the Livepeer Inc. side would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
More
actually
eyes on it.
would be very useful. Mike Zuper was he's been doing some work with Kubernetes, and he was using his own broadcaster to test some things, and everything was working smooth. And then he noticed today that someone pinged him and let him know that the Livepeer broadcaster was having issues, and if he could have seen that somewhere, it would have probably saved him a bunch of time.
All right. So there we go. I think it's concluded that a year ago, live streaming on Livepeer, we were all very concerned about. And a year later, we can all agree that we've seen some amazing, good, stable streams. So I think the network has matured in quality. And it's because of everyone here, right? It's because of the efforts of everyone putting in time to bring up that quality, which is like super amazing. So it's really good to see the fruits of our labor come together and see some really high quality streaming come through. I even did a stream. I remember a year and a half ago, I did a stream from New Zealand, and it was like really bad. Like it was like, oh boy, how like this is what we're dealing with. This is not good. And I did a stream this year, and it was perfect. So yeah, huge difference since then. And New Zealand is notoriously bad for like being really far away from like the rest of the world when it comes to this kind of stuff.
That's actually that's impressive considering how far the. How did you stream it from? Like, did you go through like Livepeer Studio?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive considering how far away the nearest ingest is.
Or were you using the open market, or were you using just whatever transcoder Livepeer Studio sent it to?
Whatever yeah, it's just Livepeer Studio.
That probably still went to their internal transcoders. I think they're still using them.
Yeah, but a year and a half ago, even their internal ones couldn't do it.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm not denying there's definitely improvement. That's a good thing.
So either way, something is improving. So that's good. Yeah, that's the only problem with using Livepeer Studio is we don't actually know what stream you're getting. Is it just their internal, or is it the public market?
I thought they had a log for that now that you could see. Or does it just show the broadcaster ingest?
I'm not sure.
It was a couple
would
weeks
that-
ago
where
when
would
it
that
came
be?
up. I think there's when you're looking at your stream. I haven't been in there in a while, but somebody brought it up on a previous water cooler a couple weeks ago, and I took a quick look at it.
Yeah, if you mean while you're streaming through Livepeer Studio?
Right.
Well,
There's like a log or something that shows.
you can only see that if you're streaming into your own Livepeer Studio account. Like if I'm streaming into Broadcastr, that's their Livepeer Studio account, right?
Oh yeah,
So I can't see any of their stuff, right?
that's true.
But nonetheless,
Like as an end user with OBS Studio or something,
yeah.
using some website.
Also, I was watching Franck play some Diablo 3 or 4, and it looked pretty good. So shout out to Franck for some Diablo 4 usage.
Yeah, thank you. That was very stable. Yeah,
I
was,
saw a bit of that
very
too.
happy
That
with
was
that.
great.
Right.
Where was that happening? Where'd you do that, Frank?
Xenon.
Yeah, Xenon. The only problem with Xenon is when you want to watch the stream on an Android device. That doesn't work after 1 or 2 minutes. The stream stop.
I don't know. Did you let them know in their
Yeah,
Discord?
I told them. Yeah, because I think it's a major problem for the growth of the use, because a lot of people want to use their Android device to see the stream. Some people, I asked them to watch the stream, and they said I can't because that doesn't work on my device.
Wow. Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, mobile streaming is going to be a tough one because mobile is where everyone is, but we have to cater to that quite a bit.
Yeah, watching Xenon has been really insightful. I think they're starting to realize that you can't build a streaming application like this and make it only Web3 and expect to have people use it. And I think they're trying to take a more hybrid approach going forward with like a Web2 sign-in option, which I'd be interested to see how that works out. Because I definitely haven't exactly been onboarding thousands of people.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea how live streaming is implemented into Web3 all that much. I mean, Web3 is still so niche and so small.
Do it through USD, that'd be awesome as well.
Yeah. I want to bring up another topic. Oh, and there you go. My OBS just disconnected. Reconnected.
Oh no.
Oh, that's interesting.
And Tom did clarify for those who haven't seen the message about what he meant by observability. And yeah, you guys are all right. There's better insights into what's going on with the network, how broadcasters are choosing O's. So that would be freaking awesome.
I want to quickly talk about the serviceURI issue. Chase, I don't know if you can speak right now, but if you want to bring up your topic about the serviceURI change.
Hi there, thank you. Yes, yeah, just the change this morning. I guess one of the concerns is if they have to reset from the broadcaster side the URIs for different orchestrators. Will they have to do that each time anybody changes a URI going forward? Or I'm not quite sure exactly what.
So how long did you wait before they reset it after you changed it?
Well, we changed it a couple of weeks ago, and then it automatically this morning, once they reset, it came online.
Oh, that's weird. I know that anytime anyone changes their service URI, there's always a long delay, but never like 2 weeks. So I don't know, that sounds like something was broken on their side.
Right. Well, that's what we're wondering, because I think other people were mentioning the same issue, but they hadn't changed their URIs. I think. I think he's not in here now, but yeah. So it wasn't solely potentially that issue, but I think it almost to me it sounded like there was a group of orchestrators didn't get swapped over into whatever the change was on the broadcaster side, or
And just for information, Tom Chet just responded on the GitHub report, and he said they will prioritize this problem, in fact.
Oh, great. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, I
You
think
mean so it'll just be an automatic change rather than them having to reboot anything?
Yeah, it's absolutely abnormal that the broadcaster didn't update the URI automatically.
That's odd because I
Okay.
actually changed my URI during that time period. Must have been like maybe 2 weeks ago, and I didn't notice anything. I mean, I definitely didn't drop down to just test streams. But I've also noticed that there's times where it just seems like things affect certain orchestrators but not others, and I have no idea why. Like where I'll see like a change that happens, and it just seems to not always affect all orchestrators equally. And I don't know. I've always almost felt like there's two different groups of like that that they're somehow segregated into. I have no idea what it would be even based on. But I've noticed like even just looking at like published dashboards, there's certain times where I'll see like one orchestrator will always have a lot of streams where I don't have that many, and then I'll have a lot where the other orchestrator doesn't have many, and it just seems to like almost always go. And that's just one example, but again, in the past, I've seen like where there's been like an issue where like like not I won't say like it was like 50-50, but like there was like when we first switched over to layer 2, there were a bunch of orchestrators whose test streams just got completely screwed up, and other ones that were completely fine. And it's just weird how sometimes it just seems like certain things only affect a group of orchestrators. And again, I have no idea what would be the reason for it, but
And there's no consistency with the different orchestrators' location in that particular instance.
not that I've noticed, but that's something that is interesting. I don't know, possibly.
And could it have been performance? Well, I guess that you would have had the same performance anyway, so it switched on and off you. That doesn't relate
Yeah.
either, does it?
Yeah, and again, not all things are like necessarily. I mean, like if I'm a lot of times if I'm looking like at Authority Null's public dashboard, he'll have like when he tends to have a lot of streams, I tend to have very few, and then like usually when I'm having a lot of streams, he doesn't have many. That could just be something unrelated, but that's just like one example. But when it came to those test streams, that just seemed to be kind of random. I didn't notice any like rhyme or reason, but there were just a group of people that just their streams were just screwed up.
Right, but it
and then-
swaps in a non-random sense. Potentially, it swings from one side to the other. Is that from what you've noticed, anyway?
well, like what I'm talking about, the stream count,
Uh-huh.
that seems to be, there seems to be like a certain like I've just noticed that there are certain orchestrators where I just seem to be the opposite. I can think the opposite. So that one does seem to be not so random, but there's been like again, just it seems like just over time, like when there's like little issues that come up, there seems to a lot of times maybe like there will be like 8 orchestrators get affected by it, and the rest all seem fine. And I haven't really thought about much like are they the same orchestrators every time, or is there anything that I can think of that those would fit just that particular group? But now that we're talking about it, I'll definitely pay more attention to it in the future.
There you go. I'm glad that was brought up today and that we found out there was an actual problem because, yeah, my North America and EU nodes have been dead in the water for like 2 months. And I was really confused. So yeah, things are back online. It's very good.
Oh, thank you.
We have some more people that have joined us. Why don't we continue with introductions and do some more, see if we get some more topics going here. John, would you like to introduce yourself on a topic?
Hey, this is John, the lead encoder. I've been helping out on some GitHub issues and no topics today. One announcement, our node, we are looking for transcoders in the Europe region, so if anyone pass the word along. And no specific topic today.
Very cool. Thank you for joining us. Frank, would you like to introduce yourself on a topic?
Yeah, sure. I'm Frank. I'm running Ultima Version node since 2 years, almost 2 years. And I have no particular topic except what we did already speak about.
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us. Brad, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Yeah. Hey everyone, this is Brad. I've been running the Adastra video node for a couple of years now. A lot from helping develop some things on this project, but no specific topic for me. Just here to help where I can.
Very cool. Thank you so much for joining us. Vires, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Hey all, I've been running the Vires and Ef orchestrator since 4 years now. Maybe just like a very small topic. As you might know, the ARP token will launch on the 23rd. And I do expect some maybe some network hiccups, maybe some gas fee spikes. So it's probably advisable for the orchestrators to just keep an eye on their org during the launch. I think it will happen around 6 hours into the new round on the 23rd. So that's kind of nice. So everybody should have called reward already. But yeah, just maybe keep an eye on your org.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah, because I just listened to the Bankless podcast where they got the two guys on from the Arbitrum team talk about it. I think they were able to use Arbitrum Nitro. They sustained 40 TPS for a while, so that's live conditions. So that's pretty good, I guess. And did anyone here get the Arbitrum Nova bridge drop? Did anyone actually use Nova?
I never used Nova, no.
Nope.
I kept thinking Nova was Nitro. And so anyone said Nova, I was like, oh, yeah, Nitro. I didn't realize it was a whole different chain. So, yeah, I would have done it if I would have known, but...
Yes, it's a chain for gaming, I think, something like that.
It's it's considered like a layer 3, or is it just like
for red? Yeah, it's I think it's a layer 3. I think they are using it for Reddit for the moon token.
Oh, yes.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's basically very low security, but basically free, so you can make video games on it and stuff, and there's no real cost. So yeah, interesting. Yeah, we're on to layer 3s. So yeah, and if you haven't claimed your or if you haven't seen how much you're eligible to claim, make sure to head over to arbitrum.foundation.
And be careful. A lot of scams out there trying to get your monies.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. If you see an ARBK token, don't touch that one either. It was ARBK, but dropped in my wallet.
There you go.
Don't touch it.
As always, thank you, Vires, for joining us. Mamood, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Hey guys, do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm Mahmoud. I've been running Cluster for almost a month now. I don't have any particular topic, maybe a stupid question, like what do you guys do if you're going on vacation or something? How do you make sure that your orchestrator keeps running?
Oh, that's a good question. Who wants to go first?
Oh man, that's something. I travel a decent amount for work and sometimes just decide to move states. So yeah, I mean, I have an app.
Sometimes I decide to just move states, yes.
Yeah, it's true. I have an app that you can get that allows you to SSH from your phone. So that works really well. And then having Loki and the dashboard set up, securely, obviously, is very helpful as well. And having alerts that get sent to you if something goes wrong. That's pretty much how I don't panic whenever I need to travel. Having SSH on your phone or on a laptop that you can hook up to a hotspot or a secure mobile router or something is useful too. The app I use is called Termius.
Okay, so you keep your let's say you're going from state A to state B. Do you keep your transcoder running in your home place and then you just connect to it whenever something happens, or do you actually take it with you, and if you take it with you, what happens while you're at the airplane?
So I have a multi-node setup, so if I had to move the server that I hosted locally, sorry, I don't know what I just said. Hosted locally, I I still have other nodes that can take that work for me.
I see.
Yeah. So I'm not too worried about having to move nodes or shut something down because there's always at least one that can handle the work.
Yeah, if you're like transcoding on a laptop and that's what you're transcoding on, and that's your day-to-day at laptop, then like I think most people here have dedicated machines, so they just
I mean, I
remote.
do have a dedicated machine. The problem is I have like my personal laptop and I have the transcoding laptop. And what I'm thinking is like, if let's say I'm traveling, should I keep my transcoding laptop in London? And then what happens if it like restarts, or if Windows decides to update at some point? Then how do I fix it? And if I take it with me, then it will be down until I hook it up. Actually, I wouldn't even be able to hook it up because I needed like a static IP and everything.
Yeah, I just remote access in, if it's running Windows, obviously just remote desktop, and then if it's Linux, just SSH in with your favorite SSH program.
Yeah, and then in the BIOS, you can set it to automatically restart if the computer shuts down improperly, which is very useful.
Interesting, okay.
And you can also purchase, I've never done this before, but I think Papa Bear told me about it. You can get like smart plugs that give you some control to actually boot up the computer remotely. And there might be other ways to do that too, like even if it's completely shut down.
Yeah, that wasn't me, but I do know that they make smart plugs. But I think if you're set to auto restart on a power failure, then you should be good.
Yeah, I looked
You
into
have to-
those like power banks, and the reviews are atrocious. You're better off just setting the BIOS. And although
You have Wake Online too.
I will say though, I've learned this recently. So my ETH miner ran out of hard disk, and it's set to start up every time it powers on. So I tried to power it off by holding down the power button, but as soon as you power it off, it powers back on. So I was like, wait, how do I actually turn it off? So yeah, you just have to like,
switch on the back.
yeah, you just gotta kill it. But I was like, oh, like,
I mean, if you safely shut it down, it
yeah, I mean,
shouldn't
you can still
start
shut
up.
down like from the menu. You can like, I mean,
Yeah.
are you?
yeah, but then it starts back up.
It shouldn't start back up if you shut down properly. If you're holding the power button down, it's going to think that something went wrong and it's going to restart. But if you like go to the menu and click shut down, it shouldn't do that.
Every time I shut it down, it would just boot back up. So I was like, oh, this is
There
weird.
may be a different there may be an extra BIOS setting. Like some may have different depending on your BIOS.
Yeah, we definitely could be right. Maybe it just is going to restart no matter what.
Yeah, I set mine to, if the power is on, you power up. Like that's it. So anyway, yeah. So but that's a pretty good solution actually. It does reboot. So good to have on. Yeah, Mamood, thank you for joining us as always. And yeah, I would just say leave your transcoder stationary and then remote into it wherever you go.
Yeah, just be prepared for the universe to screw you over, because anytime I go on a trip or leave my transcoder, something does go wrong, and I have to like figure out how to fix it.
Okay.
It's
yeah.
always when I'm not there. So I expect the same will happen to you.
Make sure you have a static port, especially if you're behind a router, because your router just sometimes changes your IP, your local IP. So then, yeah, keep that in mind. That's what happened to me in New Zealand. I was like, oh man, I did.
Oh, you mean like on your private IP address? Like
Yeah. My router just like randomly reissued my computer a new IP.
Well, that's what it's supposed to do.
And I was like, bro, I port forwarded to this port, and now you're on a different port or this IP. So I was like, oh. So anyway, yeah, there's that.
That's pretty bad.
So, but that's
And
okay.
it might, I mean, one strategy might be is if you had like a hosted O and did a remote T setup. If you're just working with a laptop, maybe you could have more than one T and have some failover. But
more than
yeah.
one what?
More than one transcoder if
Transcoder,
that was,
okay.
were the case. Yeah. There's a little latency. It goes between a remote transcoder setup, so it's a consideration. But if you had like a hosted VPS, droplet on DigitalOcean or something, that would serve as that always on point, and then you could reconnect your transcoders as needed, like moving a laptop around much more easily.
I'm gonna go with
that's
the
a pretty good
difficulty
idea.
levels, like from easy to advanced. Like I'm just gonna start with BIOS and remove the stuff, and then
Yeah,
see
start
how that screws me up, and then just go to the next level.
Yeah, I use basically the same tools that Ben was saying. It's really great. I operate the same way. I bring a laptop everywhere I go.
Okay.
Yeah, just being able to SSH from your phone is kind of game changing. I love it.
I love that Terminus app. It's paid, but it's pretty cheap. And
I'm use Juice SSH, and it's free.
which one?
Juice SSH.
Yeah, Termius is also free, I believe, unless I paid for it without realizing.
Must
Which
have
is
been
possible.
some feature I wanted for I remember paying for it, but it has like snippets where you can save your commands and then just hit those.
Yeah, that's all free, I thought.
Oh, okay.
What I don't like on Terminus, it's you put your keys on the cloud, and I prefer to keep local.
Oh, geez, is that what it's doing?
Happened to notice that.
They are encrypted, but they are synchronized on all your account.
Oh,
I prefer
brilliant.
I prefer to have a local, but it's just my for me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Didn't know that.
Yeah, because on Terminus you can connect with your account on your computer on another phone, and you can still use your SSH keys, your private SSH keys,
Right.
because they are synchronized through their cloud.
I wish you could turn that off.
I think you can maybe. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I got a topic here from
After this call, Ben will be busy creating all new SSH keys. So he'll be busy for the next hour.
So this one is for Mamood. Bima had to go about 20 minutes ago. Sorry, Bima, for not getting around to your topic earlier, but his topic was about, let's see, issues. Little guys like me are affected much more than big guys, so we need to have early warning system. He was talking about early warning system for nodes being down and uptime and also like the recent issue with the URI, like where people were not getting streams. So I guess what do people have any recommendations on what to do for early warning systems for making sure your node is running optimally?
I think it's two-part. He's kind of asking like for a warning system on like the Livepeer B side, which maybe might be addressed, but with what Tom said in the orchestrating chat. And then in terms of on our side, I mean, he's in luck because Speedy wrote that massive guide on Loki, which does all of that. Send you Telegram alerts if something happens to your node.
Very good. That's some good advice. Yeah, what could we note from the broadcaster side? Is there anything we can do as a community to help broadcasters out with their uptime and their settings, I guess? Pretty tough.
I think it would be really beneficial for us if we could see, at least from the Livepeer broadcaster, if there are errors in streams that are being sent to our nodes. I don't know how that would work exactly, but I saw a snippet from the Livepeer broadcaster that someone pasted in a chat, and I saw that I was getting some plain text errors from the Livepeer broadcaster, and I had no idea, and I still don't know why. Everything seems fine, but it would just be good to see things like that.
Yeah, I wonder if it would be worth like integrating something where orchestrators could request logs of their orchestrator from the broadcaster. Well, just like you said, but do it in maybe like a curl command, or maybe even through like a client interface, like the orchestrator client, where you could just say like, hey, download this, and you'd somehow verify, like, would we want that information to be public where anyone can download it, or would you want some sort of authentication? Like, what, how would we think about that?
I mean, is there any private information that's in the logs of a broadcaster? I guess it shows the IP of the O if they're not using a DNS name.
Yeah, but
Other than that, though, is there anything
pretty
that
public. You can kind of query
Yeah.
the blockchain.
I mean, yeah, it's all on chain, right? So it doesn't really matter. I don't think there's anything there that I don't know. I guess if a broadcaster doesn't want their IPs of their wherever they're hosting their broadcast nodes to be shared, that could be an issue. But again, we see that on our site as well, so it's also kind of a non-issue.
I mean, could there be like a Loki like dashboard or something set up that allows us to search through that stuff and like filter based on whatever we want to see?
Well, I feel like that might be
know more
what
about it.
what they're going to be doing with the whole observability thing, because I'm pretty sure they have a full Loki setup already internally.
It would be nice to see what kind of errors are coming back live. You know, if you get these random spikes in streams, is it because, you know, like, why is it? Is it what broadcaster errors are they getting? That would be super helpful.
Yeah, it would definitely be nice to
Yeah, I
see.
mean, it would be helpful, I guess, also if they could incorporate. And this is something they were working on for a little bit, but I don't think it went too far. Was they were going to give us better error logging in the orchestrator, on our logs of like what the broadcaster, if the broadcaster was getting errors, maybe they could just send us out the errors that they're seeing on the broadcaster side, specifically to the orchestrator that's connected to it.
That could
Yeah,
be
another-
good, but you're also like, what if there was no connectivity at all? Then you would never get the messages that the broadcaster would want to send you.
That is true, but I still think there'd be a pretty good amount of information because I mean it's pretty rare that I think they're going to have zero connectivity. I mean, I think that would be pretty obvious if you don't have any connectivity that there's a problem there.
Yeah, one thing that I see a lot is if you, this happened one time, I was broadcasting from far distance. I could see that like stream counts will multiply. So if you have a broadcaster reconnecting, you know, it broadcasts 3 or 4 segments and it reconnects, and you'll see the spike usually. I bet that's a lot of it, but it would be kind of interesting if we had some way to detect something that looked like that and log it. Like this broadcaster's reconnected X number of times in so many, seconds, and that could be an alert or something on the orchestrator side. There's a lot of errors that we see today, like the error writing response that's normally associated with a bad connection midstream. But maybe it would be good to have a good list of all that wrote down as what all those errors mean. Like I said, I know there's quite a few there already, but yeah, there could be more.
Just got to run them all through ChatGPT.
There you go. Oh, speaking of ChatGPT and AI and stuff, I read an interesting tweet thread that talks about Livepeer and how, you know, there's this futuristic look on it where we could use our GPUs for more than just live streaming. Does anyone have any comments on that? On whether this is feasible or whether this is just puffery? Like what? I
mean,
yeah, comments on that.
AI in Livepeer has been something that's been hinted at for forever, right? Like using AI to have custom advertisements. That's all AI based, right? Or is that something else?
Yeah, something has to process that type of like with the advertising we were talking about earlier, where it might be more advanced for NVIDIA to handle. But I know NVIDIA can do some AI work, because they obviously use that for a lot of server workstations today. I don't know if that it would fit into the FFmpeg work stream. You know, it might be something that goes off and uses a different library or something.
It might have to be like a separate process completely, right? Because we'd need the control that we've all been asking for, which is, you know, if it's AI based work, it should go to a specific GPU so it doesn't destroy the quality of a stream on a GPU that's, you know, already has work. Because I feel like AI is it's gonna be tough to stream and do AI work on like one GPU, unless maybe you're using a 4090 or something.
Well, I was going to say, and for I think a lot of the AI work, you're going to want beefier GPUs than you know, that are optimal for streaming stuff. You know, like the 1070 is hard to beat right now, but if you're doing AI work, you're going to want a lot more RAM and newer.
Right. I mean, it would be nice to
a lot
say,
more.
you know, send streams to my 1070, but all the AI stuff that needs to happen in the background, send it to my 4080 or whatever.
But what is the advertising AI thing that you guys are talking about? Missing some context here.
Yeah, I believe Yondon demonstrated it or sort of discussed it
No,
a long time
Eric
ago.
just spoke about it as an example. He was saying like you could change like a Pepsi can to a Coke can, in you know during a live stream. You know, like if there was a you know Pepsi cans that were in the shot,
You do
or
like
that was the
scene
example he
object
gave.
detection and like an alteration to the video. I mean,
Yeah, like
Yeah, and it was
detection and
you know
replacement.
yeah, and I don't think there was any work ever done on it. It was more of just a theoretical.
so I think in many GPUs, like most of the video processing happens on the codec. There is obviously the GPU memory, which might be affected if you're running AI. So I think it would actually be more around the GPU memory that is going to be a problem, or might be a problem. But again, it depends really on the intensity of video encoding and your GPU and the kind of AI.
Yeah,
processing
from
as
seeing
well.
what happens if you try to mine crypto at the same time as transcoding, I don't have a lot of faith that it would work very well, doing AI work and transcoding at the same time. But I don't know. But you know, mining doesn't use the same processors on the GPU, and it still destroys transcoding.
Yeah, I mean, if the memory is limited, then it becomes a bottleneck, because even if the actual chip is not directly impacted by the workload, they are both dependent on the shared memory.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense.
In that case, it will have to slow down or to like halt just because of the memory access. Yeah.
Can I just ask, what would you expect would be a baseline memory minimum to have on a machine for AI transcoded work in the future when it comes? What would you say, please?
It's a hard question. I think it's very empirical. Like you need to run a lot of experiments. Also, like very dependent. Like AI, you have different model sizes, different model complexities. Also, depending on whether you're training or you're running the AI model to let's say predict something, or to like, are you running a language model? Are you training? How big the training is? How big the network is? Same thing for video. Like when you're doing video, you need to also factor in like what kind of encoder are you using? How much memory does it need? What bitrate are you using? It includes a lot of factors. So I think it ends up really empirical. Like you have to sort of try, and until you see like what is the happy middle ground that allows you to do both. I think today we do have machines that can do both. I don't think it's hard to find such machines, but I don't think the average one can do that.
Yeah, I have a feeling the 8 GB cards we're using now would probably struggle.
Yeah, I think so too. But it's a hunch. Like I haven't tried it, but I would
Yeah.
guess so.
Yeah, exactly. I just thought maybe would 16 gigabyte be sufficient, or even even twice that again. But I guess until we test it properly and have a baseline benchmark, then we can't really tell with all the other factors.
Because it could change with AV1 encoding as well, right? Can we talk a little bit about the AV1 adoption of FFmpeg? Does anyone know anything about that?
I know that it's supported. If that's
Yeah,
what
I
it-
know that Livepeer's got some catching up to do with FFmpeg from what I've seen. I think we only support H.264. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So I mean that's not
for encoding, yeah.
that's not great. It'd be nice to be up to date with
What is the
what's out
challenge?
there.
What is the challenge? Like, is Livepeer inherently dependent on the codec in some way, or like why there aren't more like encodings on Livepeer?
Yes. So it's a bit of a complex problem. But one of the issues is that the version of FFmpeg that Livepeer uses has some signature functions to it, and also some customizations that make it difficult, I guess, in some way to sync up with a new version of FFmpeg. So you have to reapply all those customizations. I think we're on 4.4 currently of FFmpeg. And then the other piece is, so in Go Livepeer, you have certain things like profiles that are set up, like H.264. I think H.265 was actually in there. Maybe it was just something I was working on over the weekend. But those have to match up with the encoder as well. So there's a little bit of a dependency there as well.
And is it just a matter of like abstracting those customizations, or are these customizations dependent on the H.264 encoding itself? Like, do they make customization to the, let's say, the codec configuration and stuff that are like intertwined with the encoding, or is it more like a high level Livepeer stuff that you can just, once you abstract them, you can swap the encoding?
I'm not exactly sure. I know that the NVIDIA drivers in general have got some customizations to the way that it leverages those. So like, for instance, the encoder implementation is mostly written in C. And there's actually some C libraries, like within the LPMS, that are dependent on FFmpeg. So there's that, but yeah, I'm not as familiar with FFmpeg to answer your question perfectly.
So what you're saying is someone didn't hit the update button. No.
Yeah. Or someone made it really hard to hit the update button.
They hit the update button, it just failed.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, someone's gonna have to dig in there and update it, because you can't be on an outdated version forever.
How dare you click that update button?
I tried. I went through FFmpeg code. I went through the C code that they wrote. To me, it's just, it's not clean. It's, Mamood, I hear you talking about abstractions around this. No, man, they went in there like, and just, they forked the repo, they modified the heck out of it to do what they wanted. And now it's welded together. You know what I mean? Like you can't unpack it easily unless whoever wrote it goes through that code. I mean, I'm no C expert. And when I started looking at that stuff they did to FFmpeg, it's way over what I understand and see. So, but what I do know is when I start comparing the differences between the branches and how the code is diverged, I see massive, divergence away from the way the code works, right? And to make it work, it's significant and it's not clean. There's no abstraction. It's literally, they just bolted on whatever they needed on top of the existing code, and that's why it's stuck at the 4. Whatever release.
I see. Actually a massive, like you basically need like a major version change to first all of that, make sure that everything works with H.264 and the abstraction, and then at some point think of adding new encoding.
I think
I don't even know. Go ahead, John. What are you gonna say?
Well, I think you're right in general. Yeah, yeah. If the current FFmpeg doesn't support H.265, and I'm not really sure whether it does or not. I do know that there's just some mapping to do between Go Livepeer and FFmpeg as far as telling it what to encode it as far as what encoder to use and things.
Is there like any issue tracking this at all? Like, does the Livepeer Inc. team, do they even like?
They at some point they were
Weird
talking about
question.
like building their own library and not even using FFmpeg anymore, but I think that died. There's an issue somewhere on that.
Yeah, you don't
I
want to
don't
do
know if
that.
anyone else remembers that. It was like a whole
Yeah, they don't
thing
want
with
to do that.
Yeah, it was when the Mist team came on board and Thal was talking about it. I don't think it went anywhere.
It's an overkill. Like, you don't want to do that. Just
Yeah.
use FFmpeg, abstract it properly, and then you should be able to swap the encodings unless there's something that I just don't understand about how Livepeer works.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it definitely doesn't seem like it's high on their priority list, at least from what I've been here for a year or so, and they don't really talk about that much.
The thing I like to do, and I still struggle with as well, is separating the media server from the protocol, right? Like, I think the media server is where the problems are, right? Like, there's a whole bunch of open source battle tested media servers, but like being able to inject the protocol into it, that's the part that you need to make work. And I think right now the broadcaster and the orchestrator are also, from an architectural perspective, they're welded together, right? If you wanted to create your own media server, you'd have to implement their HTTP, approach, their interface that they have passing the messages around and stuff, and it's just going to be very difficult to do.
That's interesting. I mean, I just realized I actually don't know exactly how the orchestrator broadcaster thing is integrated in their stack. But yeah, I
Well, I
mean,
could walk you through it. It's a bunch of HTTP transport stuff that passes gRPC messages over HTTP. So there's a whole lot of that going on between the two. But there's definitely, some signatures. I was just speaking with Marco in chat earlier today about some of this stuff where, there's some sort of signature that's passed along with the broadcaster and the orchestrator, so that when those gRPC messages come through, they can be validated. But it's really just gRPC over HTTP.
I see. Okay. I mean, in that case, it should be.
Even the segments are done that way, right? Like they'll post the segments in, multi-second, segments to the endpoint, and then they'll download it to the file system, and then from the file system, and that's when they invoke the FFmpeg to transcode that segment. They don't even take it from memory into the GPU directly.
Okay.
Yeah, there's we have a couple experts. I know Ivan, can't pronounce his last name. You'll find him in Discord. He's got a good working knowledge on their FFmpeg implementation. And there's
Is he still on the team?
I was gonna say, I haven't spoke to that. I think I heard him once when I first started, but I haven't heard from him since. Is he still around?
I was working with him in December.
Yeah, I don't think he's actually with Livepeer anymore. He might just do but I see him making commits to the Livepeer code, but I don't see him showing up in the on Discord as a Livepeer member. So I don't know.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think he was part of the layoffs, possibly. Or he
Again,
quit.
I don't know anything
Yeah.
official or what his actual role is, but I do see him making commits to the code, and I see him commenting it on a lot of GitHub issues. So he's still working on the project. I just don't know if it's from an official Livepeer role or not. But he seems to be too involved to not be getting paid to do it. So I don't know exactly how that works.
Yeah, he just pushed something like 4 days ago. Oh, he's definitely still around.
Papa Bear, You're so involved and you're not getting paid.
I'm not making any code changes.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, we get our fairy
I'm with
dust
time
tokens.
though.
Talking about, I got a ticket yesterday
Wow.
worth $20.
Yeah, we get our ETH dust. Sorry, we get our ETH dust.
There you go. Okay, so AV1 support for Livepeer is a mystery box away.
Yes.
There we go.
I have a feeling that one's pretty far off.
And just so I know, like 265 and AV1, are they the same thing? Are they different?
Oh
Oh no,
no.
those two different
Okay.
things.
Okay. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
we can do
I mean,
265 with the older versions of what would
Yeah, I was
what
gonna say that's
HE
been support that in FFmpeg has been supported for a long time. And that's been supported by the hardware for a long time. Not through Livepeer, but the hardware and FFmpeg have supported those. One of the big issues with H.265 is that it's not free, so it needs to be licensed to use it.
That's
so
why it's not in there.
That's one of the
It's
reasons.
also hard to transcode, right? Isn't H.265 significantly more compressed than
Yeah.
H.264?
Yeah, it takes a lot more resources.
Yeah, I've
to compress
trying to
it.
just edit H.265 on a computer is not easy.
Yeah, it's I mean I think it's that's a dying format. I mean with the newer stuff that's out, because either you want H.264, which is light and easy to work with, in bigger files, or I think AV1 or VP9, those kind of things are gonna take over for streaming.
So
yeah, VP9, AV1 and VP9.
H.265 is very prevalent on professional grade cameras, though, in terms of what codecs they support.
Right, but not for delivery. Not for delivery.
Right. Okay.
You want to be able to decode
Yeah,
that.
you'll edit that, you'll bring it down, and then you'll stream it out as something else, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly.
If we come down to AV1, like if we get it implemented, do we know how much longer it takes to do? Like, do we know much about the benchmarking of AV1 at this point?
Well, it's supposed to be better in like every way, right? I think it's supposed to be. I don't know.
That stuff's publicly available. You can determine the differences between the two and what the resource usage is across those. It's not a Livepeer specific thing.
You talking about how fast it is to encode? Is that what you're asking, Titan?
Yes.
Yeah. Hardware requirements, stuff like that, right? Benchmarks, capabilities.
I know you don't have to crank the bitrate on AV1, not nearly as much as H.264.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was actually just looking up some stuff about AV1 last night, and because I have an Intel, the A380, which is like their cheapest, like it's like 100 and like I think $20 or something like that. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet, but I've had it here sitting here for a couple of months. And I was like looking up some stuff about it, and I found this thing done by Tom's Hardware where it can. This is like a $120 card. It can do AV1. I mean, depending on the bit rate, does about 500 frames per second. And if you compare that to like H.264, 8.264, it's doing like half the amount of frames per second. So I think it may be faster to encode than
264.
No, I think AV1 actually might be faster. I didn't think that until
Right.
I was looking at some stuff.
Yeah,
up last night,
I watched.
like it's twice as fast.
I read up on benchmarks that it was like 4 times slower. So I was like, oh boy, like.
Oh,
yeah. Well, when you're using CPU, yeah, I know it gets really slow. Well, here it is. So CPU AV1, and again, I don't know the settings they're using here. It was doing about a little less than half the speed of with this. Again, this is just the Intel card. So it's doing about 224 frames per second, and this other one is doing 500 frames per second when you're going to the hardware. And then comparing, let's see, they have like a 3090, which I know don't perform particularly well compared to some of the other Intel cards, but they do for H.26, or let's say 264, they do like 439 frames per second. So going to get roughly the same speed, it sounds, or a little bit, sorry, about 20% faster, it sounds like.
Wow.
Should be able to do.
So I want to ask, as a community, how important do we want to prioritize the integration of AV1? Like, is this something we want to push for? Is this something that we're okay laying back until Livepeer Inc. sees demand for it? What do we want to do as a community involvement?
It's a good question because, I don't know how fast it's going to be adopted. I'm not saying it won't be. I'm just saying I just don't know. But I do. I mean, the fact that Discord already supports it. Was it Twitch now supports it already, or I think they announced the support for it already. So, I mean, those are two biggies to already be supporting it. So it may come faster than I originally thought it was going to.
And the latest version, OBS Studio, also added.
Oh, and
AV1.
OBS, yeah, OBS is definitely supporting that too. So that I think with all those three right there, that could make it pretty valuable to support.
I mean, it's a really good selling point for Livepeer. Only supporting H.264 is not.
Mm-hmm.
It's just from a marketing perspective. I mean, that could bring some new broadcasters in. I mean, I have no idea.
I don't think so. I mean, it's in terms of support, H.264 is by far the biggest. There might be some like industries or specific use cases where like a requirement to use another encoder exists, but I think most businesses, they have a hard dependency on H.264 because it gives them the most reach, because it's just supported on every single device out there.
Oh yeah, without question.
So
but,
I don't know if it would like directly impact, like a sale would fail just because they don't support anything else.
It's just time and evolution of the hardware. As the devices become more capable, the older ones become falling off the stack.
Exactly. Like H.265, I remember it. I think it was launched maybe like a decade ago, and still like it didn't reach the same level as H.264. AV1, VP9, you also give them at least like maybe 10 years to get to the same market penetration that H.264 has.
Oh, so it's like IPv6.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that's a perfect case.
It's new, it's better, and nobody uses it.
Exactly. It requires a lot of time because every video codec, like it's a hardware chip that needs to be incorporated in like supply chain pipelines, and then you have all the devices that need to be distributed, and the older ones fall off and then gradually reach a point where, okay, this is the de facto.
Only the newer ones are there, right?
I don't know how hard it is as a, like how important it is as a business case to support the newer encoding.
The one area where I could see it being important, and this would be for like people that are using like a lot of streaming, is that it is cheaper to stream. But again, if you don't have the audience that can watch it, then that really doesn't matter. But if you can only going to use about half the amount of bandwidth to stream out, there's significant savings there for the delivery cost of it.
Does that still output to HLS?
That I have no idea.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, I just don't know. I was going to say that, and the other thing that H.265 again was the licensing, which I think also was a big barrier there. No one wanted to pay for every stream they were delivering. That's why it didn't get picked up by YouTube and anyone who's doing any significant amount of streaming.
But I think the other aspects as well that would come into play is for example, like HDR, HDR10, other audio encodings, Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision, like HDR plus, like there are other things that are also sort of coupled with the encoding that are not supported on H.264. So it's not just the encoding; it's just the color schemes,
yeah, exactly, right, the color depth and all that kind of stuff for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be a need for for H.264 for a long time, just because of the reasons you were talking about, just that, and everything supports that. I mean, anything can decode that. But as time goes on, and with all these, like you said, the newer stuff with HDR and HDR plus and all that, you need newer codecs to support that, and depending on the content, that becomes more important, for delivering. Again, I don't think Livepeer is going to be delivering movies and things like that, at least no time soon. But
Yeah, I mean,
do think,
eventually someone's
it's gonna
gonna,
happen.
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of push to make it, the new standard. I mean, that doesn't mean it's going to happen and that it's still not going to happen overnight. It takes a long time to put that stuff into place. But I do think it has all the right stuff behind it to be a widely accepted standard. Again, how important is it for Livepeer to support immediately? That's I couldn't answer that. Or,
So what I'm hearing is, because whoever did a lot of these integrations and modifications to FFmpeg, like, it sounds like it's a pretty wiry mystery box. From a community standpoint, we're just kind of like, okay, well, we're good with 264 until Livepeer wants to fix this and wants to basically upgrade that thing that they've built. So until that happens, we're good with just not pushing for it too much from a community. Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, I'd like to see it. I guess it's a priority thing, and what with other stuff that Livepeer is working on. How important is it in the whole scheme of things? That's, I guess, the real question.
Yeah, like I would say it's more of a, obviously if we support those other encodings, we would get paid more. But it really depends on who is the target customer that Livepeer is tackling. So I think the majority of like if you're not providing, for example, like premium streaming, in this case you don't need a lot of the higher, like the encodings that we're talking about. So it's better to just then focus on how do you optimize. Let's say if you're building Livepeer for startups, then build all the tooling around getting startups to adopt it rather than the actual encoding. So I think it's more of a Livepeer Inc. issue. Yeah, again, we would like to see the other encodings, but for now I would say it's a Livepeer Inc. issue.
Mamood, how is your did you get approved for your grant or anything? Do you have any update from that?
They said they should tell me, they should give me a response by the end of the month. I built like a mini version of the plugin that just you basically put in the playback ID and it plays a video hosted on Livepeer. But I thought I should just build it that far and then wait until they make a decision on the grant, because I don't want to be like wandering off and building a plugin that I just think, like, I think it needs alignment when you're building that plugin with the community and the company as well. Like, how does it look like? What are the things that you the features that you wanna encourage users to use? So I'm waiting for them to decide.
There you go.
Hopefully get something in like 10 days or so.
Kick them into gear. I think that's a good. Hey, anything to promote more usage of Livepeer, we should be throwing our efforts at that. So absolutely.
What kind of plugin?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's a plugin. I don't know if you've ever seen Bubble.io. It's a no-code platform for like building apps, and Mamood was building a plugin for that platform for people to use Livepeer for live streaming stuff.
Oh, that's super cool. I know Doug showed interest in it, so I'm sure the grant will be taken seriously.
Well, if you all can just jump on and comment on the grant, that would be grateful for Mamood, because I think it would be good.
Yeah, do you want to drop a link in the water cooler chat?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Bada boom. Okay, cool. We've covered many topics, and I think we'll end it here as well. We've been at this for 2 hours, 10 minutes. And yeah, it was great. Any last comments or any last comments before we sign off?
Nope, just Bitcoin to the moon.
Yeah, everyone hang on to their pants. We're about to see the money printer go burr, and so yeah, risk on assets are in line. So Livepeer, Bitcoin, ETH, all these wonderful things. Make sure you get your Arbitrum drop. I'm not sure if we want to share how much we've each gotten. Maybe it's like a competition, but I don't know. Or we just quietly hodl our Arbitrum tokens.
Doesn't matter to me.
Nobody needs to know how much I got, but I would love to know who won. Like, or who got like. Okay.
I know Papa got more than me, so I'm very bitter about that.
I'll share my amount, and then I'll see if someone wants to beat it. I got 19,750.
That's crazy. I got 6,500 between like 5 nodes. If I had more reward call nodes, that would have been the way to do it. But I only have
Ben,
one.
weren't you the one posting the memes about?
I reposted. Chuck made it. Chuck made it, and I stole
that was
it.
that was a great meme.
That was such a great meme.
Yeah, that was such a good meme. So yeah, I'm at 19,750. So yeah, if anyone, someone's gonna beat me. But yeah, that's pretty. I was actually pretty impressed. I
don't know. I think you're the top here. Maybe Vires beat you. I don't know how that works. He has a shit ton of LPT stake to him. I don't know if he gets more.
I think it matters more like if you're bridging and making reward calls from different like dummy accounts and things like that. I mean, I got more from my dummy accounts than I did from my actual.
Well, it depends on how much you're transacting as well, right? So if you're
amounts too.
Yeah, so if you're getting a higher reward amount, it probably I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just gonna shut up.
Yeah, you get for each I listened to the podcast. Basically, it was like they wanted to discourage farmers, so they made it so that like it's not just like one bridge, like one transaction where you could do it across many accounts. It's like it kind of goes up exponentially. So the more transactions you do, the more value it becomes in all these different fields. And you don't get rewards until you do at least like 3 transactions, or like 3 different ones. So, yeah, I just happened to be doing a whole bunch of NFT minting stuff because I was trying to add NFTs to my pool, and that like set me up for like 3 extra wallets. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's smart.
And because I wasn't using testnet for my NFTs because I don't do things on testnet. So
and that's exactly why I look at pays off.
So yeah, I was like, well, it's only 10 cents to mint an NFT. Like, it's actually easier for me just to mint something on Arbitrum than it is to find testnet ETH. So I was like, all right, mainnet is the new testnet. Like, here we go. And yeah, that got me quite a few Arbitrum tokens.
Yeah, very interested to see the price it opens at. A lot of speculation going on, of course, online.
Yeah. Yeah, I usually dump all my coin, my airdrops into like Bitcoin or ETH.
Yeah, that's probably smart.
Yeah, that way I can like still have fun in the upside, but like not get dumped on because that is more likely to happen.
Yeah, there's a handful of exchanges that are gonna support it on launch, I believe, and I think Uniswap probably have an LP for it.
There you go. Also, in the comments, please comment on Mamood's grant.
Will do.
Thanks, guys.
Cool. All right. Any other questions before we sign off? Comments? Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining this week's Water Cooler Chat. It's great to see you all, and we will all see you next week. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cool. See you, everyone.
See ya.